All right, thank you, Luisa. So it seems that you can hear to me properly. So we are gonna start. So let me share my screen. Thank you, Ronzo. Thank you, Angela. Let me share my screen. All right. So at this stage, you should be able to see my screen. So the session, as we were saying, is targeting the intermission stock transfer, or how missions will request stock from other sources like other missions or like from SDS stock. Okay, and it's targeted for the local supply chain coordinator roles in the missions. Okay, we will see that the stock transfer from plant to plant, all right, it's a quite long process, and it involves several roles, right, several different actors. So this session is going to be 1 hour and a half, and it's focusing on the steps and all right, it's focusing on the steps to be performed by the local supply chain coordinator in the missions. Right. So I think some people cannot hear me. So can anybody confirm that you can listen to me properly, please? And please make sure you have your microphone muted. So if you have any comment or question, yes, you can use the chat and push and include any questions or comments, or for any request for clarification, just make use of the chat. I will be reading the chat and trying to answer your questions during the session. All right. Otherwise, you will also find our email address in case you have further questions during the exercises. All right. So okay. So let's move ahead. All right. Okay. Okay, so this is not the first session we are covering on the stock transfer process, all right? So the first session we had were a couple of weeks ago, targeting mainly the transfer of stock within the same mission, all right? So we have been talking about different processes to transfer stock, and we were saying that the first one is what we consider the transfer of stock within the same warehouse, that it only involves the warehouse roles. Then the second type of stock transfer we covered a couple of weeks ago was the stock transfer within the same mission, right? How to move stock between different regions, but always within the same plant, right? And we were saying that there were different ways to perform this transfer, with a one-step stock transfer, with a two-step stock transfer, with a specific type of STO, and there was also even a exceptional process to transfer stock between storage locations that belong to different funds and fund centers. All right. So this is what all the scenarios for point 2 were what we covered a couple of weeks ago, and today we are going to focus on on point number 3. All right, how to transfer stock from a stock source that is not the same mission, right? So in here we are going to be talking about how to transfer stock between missions for non-budget relevant and for budget relevant, and also how to request stock from other sources like strategic deployment stock or from UN reserve stock. All right. So today in focus is going to be point number 3. All right. So depending on the type of transfer, the roles involved are different, right? So if we are talking about transfer of stock within the same warehouse, right, the only roles involved are the warehouse-related roles. In case of transfer of stock within the same mission, right, normally it's only the inventory senior user and the inventory user, and also the warehouse roles for to perform picking and put away. All right, both for one step and for two steps. Then for the intramission STO, this type of STO is not very much used in the mission. So missions are mainly used in the one-step and the two-step transfers for any kind of intramission transfer. The intramission STO, we have also involved the local supply chain coordinator. And then for point 3, that is the topic we are going to cover in today's session for the intermission transfer of stock. Here is where we have involved the local supply chain coordinator, the global supply chain coordinator, logistics user, inventory users, and the warehouse roles. All right, and we will see at which stage are each of them involved. All right, so today's session is mainly focused on the steps performed by the local supply chain coordinator, by the LSCC. All right, even though we will cover, we will provide a summary on the different steps performed by the different roles. All right, so let's move ahead. All right, so today is February 27th, and we are covering the intermission transfer of stock. This same session is going to be repeated next Thursday, all right, in a different time schedule, all right, to allow other missions to connect also in our afternoons, all right. And as we were saying, the intramission transfer of stock was done a couple of weeks ago, and also the WebEx recording is available. So in case any of you is interested in or could not attend the intramission transfer of stock, you will find afterwards our emails, or you can request and we will send to you the recorded WebEx session for the intramission transfer of stock. Okay, so the idea is that today we are going to review briefly the process for intermission transfer of stock. We will do a demo in the system focusing on the steps performed by the local supply chain coordinator. And the idea is that in the following days, right, we will also send to you a set of exercises, right, and a set of training credentials so that you can also perform the steps in the training environment by yourself, all right? So you can create a stock transport request. You are able to perform the approval steps in the training environment, so that it's not only you seeing as how to perform the transaction, but you are also able to do it by yourself in the training environment. Okay? All right. So let's move ahead. And so this slide, it's about an overview of the process, right? So the first part of the process, this is the overview. So the process is initiated by creating a stock transport requisition or a stock transport request, right? It's the same. Sometimes it appears as stock transport requisition or stock transport request. And this is created by the local supply chain coordinator of each mission to request for the materials, all right? And we will see that later in the demo, all right? Once the stock transport requisition is created and approved, right, a stock transport order is created by the global supply chain coordinator to identify from where the materials are going to be taken, right, to identify the source for the materials. It can be another mission, it can be UN reserve stock, or strategic deployment stock from SDS stock, right? So the mission, the local supply chain coordinator of the requesting mission will create an STR document can continue. All right. So I have, all right. So can you listen to me again? Because I had some comments saying that the audio was gone. It seems that it's back. So, all right. Thank you, Angela. All right. So once we have the STO, the outbound process can be performed. Then once the goods are issued out from the source mission, right? In case it's we are transferring an asset, a fixed asset, there will be some specific steps to transfer the asset from one mission to the other. And as a last step, the items will be finally received at the requesting mission. Okay, so this is the overview of the process, right? And then we will explain a little bit more in each of the steps. Okay, so here in this STO process, we have involved the Global Supply Chain Coordinator, the GSCC, right? That are based in Brindisi and UNGSC. We have 6 different type of roles, right? Based on the type of commodity, right? And this is the type of commodity. It's specified in the system by the purchasing group, and we will see that once we are seeing the how to create a stock transport requisition. Right? So based on the type of goods we are requesting, as an LSCC, we have to specify the purchasing group that will identify the type of item. Okay. So this is the Global Supply Chain Coordinator that is involved in the process, and it's mainly involved in creating the stock transport order. Okay. All right. And then the Local Supply Chain Coordinator, it's basically a role in each mission, right? It can be assigned to several staff members in the mission, and he's in charge, or this Local Supply Chain Coordinator is in charge of checking, right, its own inventory first, right? And if the items are not available in the inventory, thank you, Gaston, for the comment. So the LSCC should make sure that the items are not available in their own inventory, and only if they are not available in their own inventory, they can raise a stock transport request in order to request the items to come from a different source, right? So in case the Local Supply Chain Coordinator decides that the items are not available in the mission, they can request the items by creating a stock transport requisition, so that the Global Supply Chain Coordinator can check if the items are available in a different source. Okay? All right, so let's move ahead. All right, so this is our process, the process we explained or we reviewed in the slide before. And now we are going to focus on the stock transport request or stock transport requisition part. All right, so the document that is created by the LSCC to request the items, right? So in the case of intermission transfer, this stock transport request process is going to be performed in different steps, right? So as we were saying, the Local Supply Chain Coordinator will always start by checking stock availability in its own inventory, right? So the LSCC has to make sure that the items are not available in their own inventory. So if the items are not available in inventory, right, in case the LSCC has to request a fixed asset, a funds commitment will be needed, right? And we will explain also in the demo this part. So in the case we are requesting a fixed asset, as an LSCC, we will need to liaise with the funds management user so that a funds commitment is raised to provide funds for the fixed asset, right? The step number 2 is only needed in case of fixed assets, all right? And it's required because, as you may know, for fixed asset in inventory, we don't have a value, right? So the system is not committing is not automatically committing the funds based on the value in inventory, because for fixed assets, the value in inventory is 0. So we need to, as an LSCC, we need to contact the FM user to create a funds commitment, right? There is a specific funds commitment type for the stock transport request. That is funds commitment number 59, right? This funds commitment will have to get approved by the budget officer. Always, we are talking in case of transfer of a fixed asset. So step 2 and 3 are only needed in case we are requesting a fixed asset. All right? Okay. Then the LSCC will have to create the stock transport request, or what we call the STR, and in this STR document, the LSCC will include all the required materials, including also the fixed asset, right? So in the same STR, the LSCC can include the list of materials that are required, okay? They can be 1 or 10, right, depending on the needs. So the LSCC will specify the list of materials that are required in the mission. And in this STR, for fixed asset, the LSCC will also reference the funds commitment document created by the FM user. Okay. This STR document, it's a budget relevant document, so it will automatically commit the funds for the items that are not fixed assets, right? So as it is a budget relevant document, the STR will have to be reviewed and approved by the budget officer, right? By the certifying officer. Okay, so up to step number 5 is the request of materials from the source mission, the request and the approval, right, by the local supply chain coordinator and the approval by the certifying officer. So after the STR has been created and approved, the STR document will reach the global supply chain coordinator in Brindisi, so they will be able to review the STR documents to check for them or to see the required materials. They will be also make sure that the funds commitment, right, has been created and approved in case of fixed assets. So this check has also to be done by the certifying officer, right? So we have to make sure that if the STR includes fixed asset, the funds commitment document is referenced in the STR, and the global supply chain coordinator will run some reports to identify the source, right? From where we can get these materials. It can be from another mission, from SDS, and based on the source, right, the global supply chain coordinator will provide an estimate. Maybe the goods are available as they are available for free from another mission, because maybe another mission defined those goods as surplus, right? So depending on the source, the global supply chain coordinator will provide to the requesting mission an estimate for the goods and freight. All right. So based on this estimate, the local supply chain coordinator will have to review, right, the estimate, and in case the estimate is higher, right, of the planned of the initial estimate, he will have to update the STR, right? So if the second estimate is higher than the first one, he will have to update the STR, and also he will have to ask the FM user to review also the estimate in the funds commitment, right? So if the estimate provided by the GSCC is higher, the STR will have to be the STR and the funds document will have to be amended, and then if it's higher, the certifying officer will have to reapprove, right, the STR and the funds commitment, but only if the estimate is higher than the initial one. If the items are coming for free, for example, if the items are coming from a surplus from another mission, the funds commitment will be marked as complete to release the funds, right? And there is no need to update the STR because we will see later that the type of STO will be a non-budget relevant STO, and automatically it will release the funds committed by the STR. Sorry. So important for you to remember that the Global Supply Chain Coordinator, based on the information in the STR, will check for the source of supply and will provide an estimate. So based on this estimate, if the items are coming for free, we will ask the FN user to mark the funds commitment as complete to release the funds, and we can proceed. If the estimate is higher, if the estimate for the fixed asset is higher, then as an LSCC, we will have to update the STR and maybe also update the funds commitment. And as the values were increased, the STR and the funds commitment might need to get approved again by the certifying officer. All right. Also, for your information, this WebEx is also being recorded, and we will distribute the recorded video after the session. So in case anybody of you is arriving late, so you will have also the recorded version of the WebEx after we complete the session. All right. So these were the steps for the stock transport request process. Let's move ahead to the next process. In each slide, I have also included the reference to the additional job aids. All right. So in the job aid, you can find here. You will find more information about this one. All right. All the detailed information about the stock transport request process. So remember, the funds commitment, it's only required for fixed assets. Fixed assets is as per IPSAS, right? Only the ones that are fixed assets based on IPSAS and based on the threshold defined by IPSAS, all right? So if we are not talking about equipment, so equipment that do not require a funds commitment. The equipment, the funds commitment for the equipment will be automatically done with the STR document. So the specific funds commitment is only needed for fixed asset, not for equipment, not for other type of goods, like for example, for expendables. All right, only for fixed assets. Okay, so let's move ahead and let's discuss the stock transport order process. Right. So the Global Supply Chain Coordinator will execute a report to identify the approved STR, right, based on the purchasing group, right, based on the commodity, the type of commodity being requested, and will create the STO by referencing the approved STR, right. At this stage is when the Global Supply Chain Coordinator will specify the supplying plant and the issuing storage location. So remember, the LSCC will not specify the source for the goods in the STR. The source of the goods are specified by the GSCC in the stock transport order, not in the stock transport request. And then, depending on the source, depending if the items are coming from another mission and if they are coming at no cost or with a cost, the type of STO document will be different. So if the source is another mission, depending if it's non-budget relevant or budget relevant, the GSCC will create a specific type of STO document or another type, right? Even the numbering for the STO will be different. So in case of non-budget relevant, the STO document will start by 483. In case of budget relevant transfer, the STO will start by 482. In case the items are coming from SDS, it's always a budget relevant transaction, and there is specific STO document type is the 481. And if it comes from UN Reserve, it's always an non-budget relevant, and the STO document type is the ZNBD, non-budget relevant, starting also with 483. Okay, let's move ahead. All right. So which steps are followed? So in case the STO is to move the items from another mission, right? The GSCC will create the STO document with reference to the STR. And this is important. It will the Global Supply Chain Coordinator will assign the STO to the purchasing group of the selected mission. So in the STO, the Global Supply Chain Coordinator will select the source mission. Why? Because the local supply chain coordinator of the source mission will have to review the STO document and will have to release it. We'll have to somehow approve it to verify that the items can be taken from their stock. Okay, and this is the local supply chain coordinator of the sending mission. Okay, this STO document it's reviewed again by the global supply chain coordinator. So the STO it's reviewed or it's approved twice, right? Once by the local supply chain coordinator of the sending mission, and the second approval is by the global supply chain coordinator. Okay. In case the STO is for SDS stock, right? The global supply chain coordinator will create the specific type of STO document, and again, this STO has to be approved twice. But in this case, sorry, remember to mute your microphone, and in case you have questions, use the chat if possible. Okay. So in case of SDS stock, the STO will be approved again twice, but first by the GSCC and secondly by the SDS chief. All right, so there is a specific role to approve the SDS STO documents. Okay. All right. So I don't want to spend much time with this one. I think it's gonna be clearer once we see the steps in the system. Okay. All right. Remember that the STO is created by the global supply chain coordinator. All right. So as a local supply chain coordinator in the missions, so the LSCC is the role in the missions. The GSCC is the role that only the people or the team in Brindisi holds, right? So if you only have one person in the mission that has the LSCC role, he will be the one raising the STRs, and also he will be the one releasing the STO documents created from Brindisi, in case your mission is the source mission. Okay. All right. Again, you have more details about the STO document in this job aid. Let's explain a little bit the outbound process. So even if the LSCC is not involved in the outbound process, it's important for you to have an understanding of the steps and roles involved in this outbound process. All right. So once the STO has been fully approved, the logistics user will be able to create the outbound delivery document that will trigger all the outbound process. So based on the STO created and approved, the logistics user will create the outbound delivery document and will amend it to include different details, right, for the shipping. The shipment document can also be created in the outbound delivery. So the logistics user will perform several actions in this outbound delivery document. With this outbound delivery document, the senior warehouse user can create the transfer order to pick the items from the source warehouse. And the warehouse user can then confirm that the transfer order has been taken. Okay. Once the items have been picked from the warehouse, the logistic user can enter the packaging information, the packing information. This is an optional step, so in case the items have to be packed and the information has to be entered in the system, it can be done in the outbound delivery document. And then the logistics user will inform the global supply chain coordinator that the items are ready to be issued, so that because the pricing conditions, right, the value of the items that are being shipped can change from the moment the STO is created to the moment the items are shipped, right? So it can take days or even weeks. So the price of the goods might have changed, and we will see later in the demo how the system is getting the pricing condition or the price of the different items. All right. So at this stage and before performing the goods issue, the logistics user will indicate the global supply chain coordinator that the goods issue is ready, and the global supply chain coordinator can refresh the pricing conditions in the STO. Okay. And then, in case we are sending equipment, right, any kind of equipment, fixed asset or other type of equipment like laptops, servers, whatever, right, the equipment maintainer will update the equipment master data to remove, for example, the equipment maintenance plant, the planning group, etc. All right, and then the last step will be to post the goods issue. So once the logistics user posts the goods issue, the items will or the stock will be reduced from the sending mission, right, and the items will appear as in transit. All right, so I have a question regarding the, again, to this stock transport request. So how the LSCC, the question is about how the LSCC will get the request or will get the needs to request for materials, right? For example, the LSCC can be non-commodity oriented, right? So he might not know that the servers or some computers are needed, right? So the different inventory senior user might, or they should be checking their own inventory, and in case materials are needed, right, they should contact the local supply chain coordinator, who should be the ones initiating the stock transport request. So each kind of section, let's say for example CITS, they are not able to initiate the stock transport request, right? So in case they want to raise an STR, they should contact the local supply chain coordinator, so that after making sure that the items are not available in their own inventory, the local supply chain coordinator will initiate the process by creating a stock transport request. Okay. All right. So these 9 steps were the ones for required to ship the items from the source mission, what we call the outbound process. Once the items have been issued out from the source mission, in case of a fixed asset, there are some required steps to transfer the fixed asset, right? So this process is only needed in case we are transferring fixed assets. So if we are transferring only equipment or only expendables, this asset transfer process is not needed, right? So if the transfer includes fixed asset, there are some financial steps required, right? And these steps are performed by a specific role, the fixed asset accountant role. Okay, and it applies to any kind of transfer. It doesn't matter if it's a budget relevant transfer or non-budget relevant. The fixed asset transfer has to be always performed in case our transfer includes any type of fixed asset. Okay, so once the asset transfer process is completed, the funds commitment created for that fixed asset will be automatically consumed. So these are steps more from the financial point of view, but it's important for you to understand that if our request includes a fixed asset, and after the items have been issued out from the source mission, there are some financial steps required from the fixed asset accountant role. Okay, and there are some tools and reports available in the system to help this the fixed asset accountant to perform the transfer. All right. So this was this is just an overview of the fixed asset transfer process. Your colleagues in finance have been trained on these steps and processes. Okay. Yeah. So I have some questions regarding this process. So the fixed asset transfer has to be done regardless the transfer is budget relevant or not. Even the funds commitment, right, at the moment of the stock transport request has to be always created, because at the moment of the STR, you still don't know, as an LSCC, as a local supply chain coordinator, you still don't know from where the items are going to be coming. So you still don't know if the items are going to be coming from surplus or not, even though most of the missions already know. But the funds commitment should always be created in case the items are not available as surplus. All right. So the thing is that as the process has been designed, at the moment of the STR, at the moment of the stock transport request, you still don't know if the items are going to be coming from surplus or they are going to be coming as budget relevant for you. Okay. All right. And the last step in the process, after the items have been issued from the source mission and the fixed asset has been transferred, is to receive the goods at the destination, right? So in order to receive the goods at the destination, the inventory user will perform a good receipt, right? So very similar to any other type of good receipt, but in this case, the inventory user will reference the outbound delivery that was created during the outbound process, right? And once the good receipt has been posted, then senior warehouse user will create transfer order for put away, and warehouse user will print and confirm the transfer order for put away. And once the good receipt is posted, the stock in the receiving mission will increase, right? And the items will disappear as in transit, right? The items will not be in transit any longer. So, because I also had a question in the chat regarding if the sending mission has any kind of notification once the items are received. So there are some reports to check for items in transit. So if the items are still in transit, it means that the items have not been received yet in the receiving mission. Okay. Okay. So regarding the goods issue, regarding this goods issue, because I also have some questions here. So regarding this step number 9, so this goods issue, it's done by the logistics user. So there is a specific role in Umoja that is the logistics user, because I have some questions about if this step has to be done by MoveCon or by another unit. So the person performing goods issue has to have this logistic user role. Then depending on the mission, this role has been assigned to MoveCon unit or to other units, all right? So make sure that the person that has to do this goods issue for intermission transfer has this logistic user role, okay? So it doesn't matter if they are in one office or another. It's from Umoja, it's a matter of the role or the transactional role that you have. Okay, the system will allow you or not to perform the action based on the role. If I remember well, it's the RD09, the logistics user role. Okay. All right. So we completed the asset transfer process and also the good receiving process. As you can see, in this case, there is no inbound delivery. So for intermission transfer, even the good receipt is posted using the outbound delivery. So there is no need to create an inbound delivery. With the outbound delivery, we will perform the goods issue and also the good receipt. So no need for an inbound delivery in this case. Okay? All right. So let's talk a little bit about the accounting and budget integration, just for your reference, right? So pricing conditions in the STO, right? They are used to somehow value the price of the materials being transferred, right? And depending on the type of STO, the pricing conditions will be different. So there will be some pricing conditions applicable for SDS and other pricing conditions in case we are transferring goods from mission to mission. So for SDS stock, pricing conditions will include, for example, the replenishment cost. And this will be automatically, this is going to be automatically done by the system depending on the type of STO. All right. So as we were saying, the pricing conditions will depend on the type of STO and also depending on the budget of the source and receiving mission. So if it's the concept of within volume or cross volume, for example, if both missions belong to the same budget, for example, both of them are SPMs, or if one of them is SPM and another one peacekeeping, right? So they belong to different funds, right? So in this case, we are talking about gross volume, and there will be some specific pricing conditions, like for example the freight that will be included for gross volume STOs. But this is not very much related to the LSCC and mainly affecting the global supply chain coordinator, that is going to be the one managing the STO document, the stock transport order document. Okay, so the global supply chain coordinator role will manually maintain the pricing conditions, right, based on the type of STO. For example, for SBS stock, the replenishment price. And some pricing conditions are automatically set by the system, right, based on some calculations. For example, for expendables or equipment, the transfer, right, is calculated based on the moving average price in the source mission. All right. So the one sending the items in the STO, the system will calculate the price based on the value of the stock in the source mission, and this will be automatically calculated by the system. This is the case of the pricing condition, the P101, that is the moving average price for the source mission, and this is automatically populated once the global supply chain coordinator is creating the STO. All right. So these are some highlights about the pricing conditions, and that they depend on the type of STO and the type of transfer within mission or within volume or cross volume. And this one we already mentioned before, as there might be a long time between when the STO is created, right, and when the goods are issued. So between the time the STO is created by the global supply chain coordinator and the time the goods are issued from the releasing mission, the pricing conditions might need to be refreshed, right? Because this moving average price might change between the two instances in time. All right. So the pricing conditions might be refreshed to refresh the moving average price. Okay. All right. So only for your reference, here you have again the Umoja support model. So these are for production issues. So you can always contact your LP, and also in case your issue is not solved, your local service desk, right? For production issues, please use the regular Umoja support model. Here in this last slide, you have some links to the relevant job aids, right? So for goods transfer between different missions and plants, you have different job aids. You can look in case you have questions. You also have the same ones for transfer within the same warehouse or transfer within the same mission or plant. And so this was the end of the presentation. So we still have 40 minutes to perform a demo. All right. So we will connect to the training environment and we will perform some transfers. All right. So in our example, we will be transferring, or we will be requesting some materials. So the requesting mission is going to be the one we are going to use in our example. Is going to be UNAMA AF10. Okay, and we will be trying to request three different materials, right? The first one is a fixed asset, and then we have an equipment, right? A serialized material, a computer, and then spendables, right? So we will be trying to request these materials and then to perform the transfer, right? So we will specify the quantity for each material, and we will focus in the steps performed by the local supply chain coordinator role, right? So we will check we will focus on the stock availability reports to make sure that the items are not available in our own stock. We will see how to create the stock transport request. Afterwards, once the STR has been created and approved, the Global Supply Chain Coordinator will create the STO, and as an LSCC, we want to check the estimates provided by the Global Supply Chain Coordinator, and if needed, we will amend the STR document. We will then review the STO and release it, all right? Because the STO has to be released by the local supply chain coordinator of the source mission, right? Not from the LSCC from UNAMA, but the local supply chain coordinator from the source mission, all right? So in this case, in this demo, we are gonna send goods from UNAMID to UNAMA, right? So the local supply chain coordinator of UNAMA will raise the STR, and the local supply chain coordinator from UNAMID will release the STO document created by the global supply chain coordinator. Okay, so here you have our email address for any training-related question or comment. Okay, we will also share this presentation after the problem. All right, so let me close this presentation. So remember that this type of transfer refers to any kind of intermission. So anytime there is a transfer between different plants, this intermission stock transfer process applies. If you are only transferring within the same plant, you can use the one-step or the two-step stock transfers. All right, so let me connect to the training environment, and I'm gonna connect as a local supply chain coordinator. So could you please confirm that you can see my ECC screen? All right, thank you, Rosa. Thank you, Nico. Okay. So I'm just logging in ECC. We were saying that we want to transfer these 3 different materials, right? So before we, as an LSCC, we can get the request from the technical unit, right? From CITS or from other unit. So we should make sure that the items are not available in the stock. So we can use different reports like MMB. So with this report, we can check for a particular material. So in our case, we are now playing the role of the local supply chain coordinator from UNAMA. So we should be looking for stock in UNAMA plant, all right? So with this report, we can check for stock, right? And we can see how much or how many we have available in our stock. So this is one report we can use. MMB for one material in one plant. We can also use MB52. So with MB52, we can, instead of only one material, we can include several materials, right? So here we can include also the computer and the mouse. So we can put the 3 different materials, and we can run the report, and we will see for the 3 different materials how many, right? How many we have in quantity and how many we have in value. So with these 2 different reports, you can see in your plant the storage location, right, where you have the material, and the quantity. So with this report, you can just answer back to your technical unit saying that in this case, we already have available, but just for demo purposes, we are going to assume that we don't have any available, and we are going to request for additional items. In this case, we have some available yet, okay? So as a local supply chain coordinator, I'm going to initiate how we should initiate the stock transport request. So we have a fixed asset, right? So we should contact the FM user because we need, right? We need a funds commitment. So we need to raise a funds commitment in order to secure the funds for these 2 generators, right? That we are going to request. So these generators are about 10,000 each, right? So we have 14 total, and they are about 10,000. Sorry. So as you see in this in the generators, we don't have the value, right? In the stock. Sorry. So as you can see, for laptops, we have the value in stock, and for mouse, we also have the value. For the fixed asset, we don't have any value. Why? Because for fixed assets, the value it's recorded in the fixed asset master record, right? That's why for fixed asset, we need to create a funds commitment. For the computer and for the mouse items, right? The STR document will automatically commit the funds because we have already some values in the stock. But for fixed asset, we need to create, or we will need to ask the FM user to create a funds commitment. Okay. So in our case, the funds commitment part, we already raised one, right? So I'm going to show to you the funds commitment document. So this is the process done by the FM user. So as you can see, the FM user posted a funds commitment. There is a specific document type that is the STO asset transfer funds commitment document, right? And they will specify the value. So in this case, we have estimated that the 2 generators will have an estimated cost of $40,000, right? And the FM user should indicate in the text the STO number once it's available or once the LSCC has created, just for reference purpose. Okay. So the FM user should create the funds commitment to commit the value for the fixed asset. So this is something that as a LSCC you should be requesting the FM user to create in case you are requesting a fixed asset. Okay. So once you have this funds commitment created and approved, you can, as an LSCC, you can start initiating the stock transport request. So you can create a stock transport request with T code ME51N, right? ME51N. So don't worry about the T codes. So the idea is that you can also practice these exercises. So we will send to each of you a guided exercise with the different T codes, so that you can perform the same steps that I'm now performing in the training environment. Right? So with this ME51N, in the system you will be able to create the STR. You will need to change the type of document to stock transport request. And then you will need to specify the materials. So the first thing you need to specify is in the item category, you need to specify the only available value is the U, stock transfer. Then in the material, you will specify the product ID. So it's important to emphasize the relevance of the product IDs. So the STR is like a shopping cart. So you should pay special attention to the product IDs. So their request and all the downstream process are going to be affected by the product IDs you select here. So if you select here in the STR the wrong product ID, yeah, it's not possible that in the end you receive the right product, because all the process is going to be driven by the selection of the product ID here. So it cannot be that you select here one product ID and then the mission or in the source mission they decide to send you the right product ID. Okay, so pay special attention on selecting the right product ID at this stage. So we will select the product ID, the quantity, right? What else? The system will tell us, all right? So the plant here, as an LSCC, we only indicate the requesting plant. So the requesting plant is UNAMA, right? We will specify also in which storage location we want to receive the items. So for UNAMA, I'm going to select Kabul, right? 1105. And I will indicate the concept of the purchasing groups, right? So we were saying that there was one purchasing group per commodity type. So and all of them are starting with TG. You can see from 1 to 6, engineering, ICT, medical, supplies, transport, right? So depending on the type of commodity, you will need to select the type of the purchasing group, and depending on this one, the global supply chain coordinator in Brindisi will be one or another one, right? So in this case, let's select the first one. Okay. If you don't know the purchasing group, you can always select TS1, right? There is one purchasing group that is the TS. In case you don't have you don't know the purchasing group, you can always select, and then from Brindisi they can always reassign, right, to the correct commodity group, right? But in this case, we are going to select TG1 as purchasing group. Okay. So even in the STR, there is a warning saying that please enter supplying plant. Please do not indicate supplying plant. So in the STR, you only need to specify the requesting plant, right? In the plant and storage location, you specify where you want where you want to receive the items. Okay. So in this one, this item, it's the fixed asset, and we have in the tracking number, we should indicate the reference to the funds commitment. So here we should populate the funds commitment number. Right? So this one is the funds commitment that we asked the FM user to create. Right? So we already completed the line for the fixed asset. Then we should do the same for the second two line items, right? For the computer, we will also indicate the U, the product ID. We will indicate here how many, the quantity. We will indicate the plant and the storage location, right? and we are missing the purchasing group again. So purchasing group should be TG1. And the last item we want to indicate is the spendable. All right, so we are going to request, let's say 20, again for AF for UNAMA in the same storage location for the same purchasing group. All right, and we have to indicate the item category U. Okay. All right, so here we have the 3 line items, and as you can see, in the evaluation for the generator, it's empty because it's in the funds commitment. For the computer, the system is already providing an estimate of 982, right, for each laptop, and also an estimate for the mouse, so more than $12 for each mouse. So these values are based on the moving average price, in this case, of the source mission, right? So as an LSCC, you can even change these estimates, but it's important to notice that these values are coming from the moving average price. So I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of moving average price. So let me show to you one report where you can check. So with MM60, you can check for the moving average price of different materials in different plants. So remember that the moving average price, it's one per plant. So for example, if we want to check for the moving average price for the mouse, these are the mouse item in the let's check for the moving average price for this material in this plant. Let's run it, and we will see that for the mouse in plant AF10, moving average price is $12.29. Right? This $12.29 is the same that the system automatically populated in the STR. And the moving average price can be different depending on the plant. So let's put now 2 different plants. So this is UNAMA, and this one is UNAMIT, right? So this one we are going to use it as requesting mission, and this one as source mission. And we will see that the moving average price might be different. So it's a little bit higher in UNAMA than in UNAMIT, and it depends on the different purchases performed by each mission, right? So the contracts can be different depending on the mission. So based on the average price in UNAMA, the average price is more than 12 for Afghanistan and less than 12 for UNAMIT. All right. So these values are automatically predefined here, even though as a local supply chain coordinator, you can amend this estimate and put, I don't know, 10, right, for each mouse, and to reduce the estimates, or to reduce or to increase the estimated amounts. Okay, so we have created our STR document, right? And we can check for errors. Okay, let's see if it goes. All right, so we have the warning messages and a log. Okay, so let me try to remove this log message. This is only because of the training environment. So let me try to remove this log. All right, so it is nothing related to the exercise, but related to the training environment. Okay. All right. So please bear with me a little bit. All right. All right. Let me check again. The STR, check. Right now it should be okay. And I'm gonna save the STR, and below I will get the STR number, right? So it's ending with 42. So this is the STR that has been created by the LSCC, right? And by this STR, you can see with ME53N, we will see that that is still not approved. So you can see that in the release strategy, certifying officer has to release the STR, right? So this STR has to be approved by the certifying officer. So I'm gonna log in as a certifying officer in order to approve this STR document, right? So let me log in as a certifying officer. Right, so now I'm playing the role of certifying officer, and so as certifying officer, I have to use the ME54 NT code, but I will need to know the purchase requisition number, the STR number. If I don't know the STR number, if I just want to check for the STRs that are pending approval, I can use the ME5A T code, right? And check for my plant, it's UNAMA. I can check for document type. We were using STR, right? The set STR is the stock transport request. So I want to see stock transport requests that are pending approval. All right. So I will execute, and here I will get the list of STRs. So here I have the one I just raised, the one ending with 42, right? So with this number, I should be able, as certifying officer, to approve the STR document, all right? So now I can include the number. So the number should be 42, all right? So here I have the different documents. As certifying officer, I should make sure that the funds commitment document is referenced in case of a fixed asset. And what I will do, I will have to go line by line and release, right, and approve the STR. So for the generator, I'm gonna release so that it gets approved. Sorry. I will do the same. So this was for the generator. I have to do it for the 3 line items. For the laptop, I will again release the STR. And the last one for the mouse, I will again release, right? So now the 3 line items have been released, and I can just click on save. All right. So now the STR document has been approved. Okay. So the local supply chain coordinator raised the STR, and the certifying officer approved it. So the STR process is completed, and it's now the turn of the global supply chain coordinator. So the global supply chain coordinator will have to check for open STRs. So now I'm going to play the role of the global supply chain coordinator in Brindisi, right? So I will play the role of the global supply chain coordinator, and I will have some reports in order to see which are the open STRs, right? I can use the same T code, the ME5A. So with this ME5A, again, I can filter by plant or by document type. I'm going to put, this is to look for STRs, and I can also put to show only released STRs, right? And I'm going to put also for plant AF10 is the one I'm looking for. Okay, and here at the bottom, I should see the one ending with 42, right? The one that I just released as a certifying officer, requesting for 2 generators, 10 laptops, and 20 mouses. So I can just double click on the STR, and as a global supply chain coordinator, I can see here all the details about the items. So I can see the 3 different items, the quantity, the requesting mission, the purchasing group, funds commitment. So as a global supply chain coordinator, I will need to check where these items are available, right? So I can run, as a global supply chain coordinator, I can run some reports to see where the items are available. So I'm just playing the role of the global supply chain coordinator, all right? So I can put again the 4 different materials, sorry, the 3 different materials, and I can put one plant or several plants. So I can put as many plants as needed, and I can run the report, and I can see here for laptops, right, where they are available in different plants. So they are available as SDS, they are available in UNAMIT, and I can see the quantity and the total value of stock. The same for the 3 different materials, for mouses, generators. So in case, in this example, we are gonna consider that we are gonna get the items from UNAMIT, right? And that we are gonna get the items as part of, right? So the global supply chain coordinator will contact the source mission, right, to see what kind of transfer, if it's going to be budget relevant or not. So in this case, most of the intermission transfer are non-budget relevant, right? So we are going to consider that UNAMIT is able to send some items, right? Maybe they were marked as surplus, and UNAMIT can send the items at no cost to UNAMA. All right. So in this case, with these reports, the global supply chain coordinator will tell UNAMA that that UNAMIT can get or can supply the items at no cost. All right. And if it's like that, if the items can be supplied at no cost from another mission, then the funds commitment document has to be marked as complete to release the funds, and there is no need to change the STR, right? Because in the STR we had an estimate. So remember that this is the STR document, and as an LSCC we included some estimates, right? For example, for the mouse, we said that the estimate was $10 for each, right? For the computer, almost 1,000 for each computer. So if the items are going to be sent at no cost, there is no need to change the STR. we only need to change the funds commitment, this funds commitment document, and mark it as complete to release the funds. There is no need to change the STR because when the Global Supply Chain Coordinator creates the STO, the funds commitment or the commitment that was automatically done based on the STR will be automatically released. Okay, so we didn't show to you the funds commitment that was done. Let me run FMAV CR02, right, to check for funds availability, right? So I'm going to check for the commitment that was created related to the STR. I'm going to put the details of our cost center, the one related to Afghanistan. Right, so I'm doing the part of the funds availability. All right. So here, if I show the different documents, I can see the 40,000. So this 40,000 is the funds commitment created by the FM user. So even if I double click here, I will see even the funds commitment document, the one ending with 42. Right? So this is the funds commitment created by the FN user, and this 10,000 is the commitment created automatically by our STR. If we double click here, we will see our STR document, the one ending with 42, and this first part is for the computers, almost 10,000, and the 200 for the mouses. Okay, so the system automatically created a commitment related to our STR, and this is why we say that the STR is a budget relevant document, because once it gets approved, it automatically creates a fund commitment. All right, so now let's continue with our exercise, and let's say that the items can be sent from UNAMID at no cost. So as a GSCC, we will create an STO document, right? We will create an STO document with the ME21N, ME21N. So this is create purchase order, right? So as a Global Supply Chain Coordinator, now I have to create the purchase order. And depending on the source, I will select if it's a budget relevant STO, if it's, this is more for the Global Supply Chain Coordinator, if it's a non-budget relevant STO, or if it's a SDS STO. In our example, we are going to use the non-budget relevant STO, that is the most common case for intermission transfer. And the purchasing group, this one, it's important. So the purchasing group is going to be the purchasing group of the source mission. So in our case, we are going to send the items from UNAMID. So we are going to select, as a GSCC, we are going to select the purchasing group of UNAMID. So all STO-related purchasing group starts with a T, and you will see that there is one permission. So we have to select the purchasing group of the sending mission, right? So sorry, let's. So in our example, I was saying UNAMID, but it's in fact it's AMMIS. So it's AMMIS, the one I was using in the example. So SS10, it's AMMIS. Sorry, it's not UNAMID. All right. So the T90 is the purchasing group of the source mission, that it's AMMIS. Okay. So once I have selected the source mission as purchasing group, I will indicate the materials, and instead of doing it one by one, I can just select the purchase requisition document, right? So I can, instead of putting again here the material, price, and everything, I just can select here the purchase requisition, that is this one, right? we can go again to the purchase requisition document, and you can see that this is the number and this is the item, right? So we will indicate the 3 different items. So we have to indicate in the STO the STR number and the item. It's item 10, the same thing for item 20, and the same thing for item 30, right? So if I indicate these line items, right, all the details are going to be automatically copied. You can see here that the details came automatically, the quantity, product IDs, delivery date, everything, it's coming, even the funds commitment is coming from the STR. That's why we say that we create, as a DSCC, we create the STO based on the STR document. Okay? Okay. So, all right. So in this, so you can see that these materials are the materials that are being transferred, right? From so here we didn't indicate yet the supplying plant, right? We only indicated the purchasing group, but in the supplying plant we have to indicate. So this is done by the global supply chain coordinator. Okay, so this is just for your reference purposes. Okay, you don't need to create the STO. This is done by Brindisi. It's just for you to know what's happening from Brindisi point of view. So Brindisi will review the stock transport request raised by the missions. They will check for stock availability. They will indicate, they will reference your STR, and they will indicate the supplying plant. All right. In the supplying plant, we said that in our example is going to be AMMIS. So we will indicate as DSCC the supplying plant here, right? And we will need to indicate the issuing storage location, right? So in the issuing storage location, we are going to indicate the same for the 3 different materials, okay? Because when we were checking the stock availability, we realized that the materials were available in this issuing storage location, right? So if you remember well, we did before the check stock availability, we did MB52, right? And we checked for the 3 different materials. We did it for SD10. So we did it for SS10. 1101. All right. So here we have available. Okay, so we have available stock. So we can perform the transfer from this plant and storage location. So we can, this is why we are indicating supplying plant and issuing storage location. So now I can check the goods, and important, in this STO, the pricing conditions are automatically populated, right? So these pricing conditions for computer and for the mouse, right? These pricing conditions we were mentioning that are automatically defaulted based on the moving average price of the source mission. So this 1146 is the moving average price for this material in this plant, right? So this 1146, if we check, if we do MM60 and we check for this particular material, sorry, which material is it? It's okay, in plant SS10. So we will see that we can see that the moving average price is 1146, That is what the system is indicating in the STO. These pricing conditions will be different depending on the depending on the type of STO. So in case of a non-budget relevant STO, this is only for reference purposes because it's not gonna charge any amount, right? So once we post this STO, the commitment for the STR will be automatically cleared, right? But they will be real for example, for budget relevant STOs. And these pricing conditions will be different for example, for SBS STO documents. Okay, so let's check this STO. This is this is one of the tasks done by Brindisi. Let's check the document. All right. Sorry, we have again the log. Okay, we are gonna be we will need 5-10 minutes more. So sorry about the delay because it's already 11:30. So let me remove the log in the training environment. Okay. All right. Just removing the log so that we don't get the error. Okay. All right. And now let me clear the. Let me check again for errors. All right. So this one is only the warning messages, and I can now save the STO document. So now, as a global supply chain coordinator, I created the non-budget relevant STO. You see, 483 and ending with a 4. Okay, and even the numbering, we can already see by the numbering that this is a non-budget relevant STO. It's the 483. This is what we were mentioning before in the presentation. So there are different types of STOs. And in this case, we are talking about a non-budget relevant that it starts with 483. Okay. So the STO has been created, and now it's the role of the local supply chain coordinator from AMMIS that has to review the STO and approve it. Okay. So I should now connect as a local supply chain coordinator from AMMIS. Okay. All right. So I'm going to connect as a local supply chain coordinator from AMMIS to review and approve the STO. I can directly use the T code in case I know the STO document. I can use ME29N to check for to release the STO. So if I know that is ending with 4, I can use ME29N, or I can use a report that is ME28. So with this ME28, I can check for all the STOs that are pending release, right? And I can use this one, right? And I can see the list of STOs that are pending release. Okay, so I can double click to check for the different items, right? And from here I can release if I agree with the different details, I can release the STO from here. So now I'm playing the role of the local supply chain coordinator to release the STO raised from Brindisi. Okay, so I can just click on release and save it. right? And the STO has been released, right? So the STO has been released, and it will be all the subsequent processes can continue, right? So the STO is still missing one part of approval. So we stopped the demo at this stage. So the Global Supply Chain Coordinator completed the STO document, and as an LSCC, I was able to release the STO. All right. So there will be more steps in order to complete the transfer. So the Global Supply Chain Coordinator will have to review again, and then once it's completed, the outbound process can continue. All right, but you should focus on the stock transport request and stock transport order. So you are involved more in these first two processes, all right, and not that much in the outbound process. Okay. So we completed the STR document and the first release of the STO. That are basically the steps you are more involved with. Okay. Any questions, comments? We also have the team from Brindisi that are involved in the STO process. So any comment or feedback from your end, if you want to unmute your microphone and say some words, you are more than welcome.
Hello, Leandro.
Hello.
Chris here from OnFiship. We received some assets from STS, but
Yeah.
I'm not able to receive them. I mean, I'm interested in good receiving, actually. This one is, but like I wrote to you on the chat, there is no inbound delivery. You said there is no need for inbound delivery, right?
Yeah.
So we received them with the reference number.
You can just receive them for using the outbound delivery, okay? With the outbound delivery,
8,000. And but when I try to receive them, it gives me an error.
Okay.
And I send an email to Global Coordinator to see, and I should explain that there is a problem with the picking and stuff. Okay, so how long is it going to take?
Yeah, there are some issues with the with different parts of the process, depending. For example, we are aware that for items coming from SDS, in cases that the replenishment.
This is a budget level one, by the way.
Yeah, so there are different issues. Okay, so depending, because we cannot cover the different issues in the different processes. So if you have the reference, you can just the reference to the STO, just or just forward the email to also to our email address or to this one. Okay, so for any questions, comments, or any issue you are facing, okay, we know that also from Brindisi they are having a look at that. But if you want us also to have a look at it and to check also with that, we can just forward it to our email address, DFS Training, okay, and we will also include that one. And maybe if it's needed, we will also deliver.
It's been a month already that we received the items. It's been a month that we already received the items, and I received them manually. Okay. And maybe I'm going to forward you all the copies and the things that.
Send it.
Even the items are now still in their warehouse. It's still showing that it belongs to Italy yet. So okay.
So just because we are also in contact with the people in Brindisi, so we can also check with them. Okay, what's the status of the STO?
Okay, thank you.
So you're welcome. We will also share this presentation and the recording after the meeting. So, I think we cannot cover the entire process in an hour and a half, but at least you got an overview of the process and the first steps, the STR and the STO. And thank you for attending, and we'll keep in touch, all right? Thank you very much, and have a nice day.